Yeah, so my first shoot, man, it was my very first combat mission. So like about as green as you can be, dude. Zero point zero hours in Afghanistan. And we take off and we're over the SOP. So my lead gun at the time, he was on his third deployment, and my two other gunners were on their like ninth and 10th. So they were good. They were doing the thing. I was in the window. My lead gun was like, hey, just listen to comms, kind of get a feel for how a mission goes. And I was like, all right, sick. So I was sitting in the window, and our sensors, the SBS lands, they're infilling. They were just doing like a VSO, kind of going through the village, making sure everything was good. And as soon as they landed, we, got a friendly picture, what they're doing, where they're at, and then they start infilling, and we see kind of two dudes off to the side. And we're like, maybe that's one of their blocking positions. Maybe that's one of their, whatever. So we're watching these dudes. They're literally just like laying out in the grass, chilling. As the SBS goes through the village, they kind of move. And then when the SBS is coming out, they run into a wadi. They run into like a tree line. And we're like, normally blocking positions don't do that. So I'm sitting here like listening to comms, and I'm like, I don't know what a VSO is. I don't know what blocking positions. I don't know what any of this is. But the sensor is telling the pilot's like, hey, call that in. And by the way, depressurize the aircraft. So you can't shoot when the plane's pressurized. I think now with some 105 updates, they can, but back in the day, we couldn't. So he's like, hey, depressurize the aircraft. So I'm like, oh, man,
do it.
Are we going to shoot? Like, I was like, wow. I'm sitting there, like my blood pressure's coming up. I'm like, oh, man, this is it. So I end up, my lead gun's like, hey, get out of the window, come to the back, bring your O2. So I disconnect. One of the other gunners jumps in the window. I go to the back. I'm on the 105. We depressurize the aircraft. We were at like 15,000 feet. So I'm on like my O2 mask. And back in the day, we were hot mic. So you're just like, you got your mask. And I'm like, I'm huffing. I'm like, holy crap, this is about to actually happen. And my lead gun looks at me across the gun and goes, hey, man, you're at like an 8. I need you at like a 4. And I like, so we call down to the JTAC and we're like, hey, man, we got these two dudes in the wadi. Don't know if they're your blocking position or whatever. And he's like, stand by, mate. I'll go check it out. So
I love
the JTAC and another dude. Yeah, JTAC and this other, oi, bruv. The JTAC and this other cat just literally go walking up to them. There was no like call out, nothing. They just like walk straight up to this tree line, and out of the tree line, two dudes pick up AKs and they just start going to work. And the JTAC and the other dude pick up their weapons. They got one dude organic, and then the other dude starts running away from them. And he's like, yep, nope, not our dudes. You're clear to engage. And we're like, dude, you're like 50 meters from this dude. And he was like, that's fine. Clear to shoot.
Hit him with the 40, dog. Hit him with the 40, dog.
We were like, dude, even the 40, that's danger close.
Yeah.
We were like, yo. And he was like, no, we'll jump down to this wadi. We'll be covered. You're clear to engage. So my lead gun's like, hey, get the gun going. So we started shooting 105s at this dude. He ended up getting fragged out, running into a gully, and we jacked this dude up. We did the deal. And then it's funny because like in that moment, I was, so hyped up. My lead gun's like, hey, dude, bring it down. You're going to be good. You're going to be all right. Ended up doing the deal, go back, shave my head, super excited, yada, yada.
Why? And then is that a gunship thing? You have to shave your head?
After your first kill, yeah, you shave your head.
I didn't know that. So, I learned all kinds of stuff today. I wasn't tracking the AC-130. I didn't know the depressurization thing before today. I didn't know the shave your head thing. We're all learning. This feels good.
So it's a super, super cool tradition. Some commanders have tried to like take it away. So back in the day, it was not voluntary. It was like, this is happening.
Nice.
And everyone on the crew kind of gets a little womp off your head, but then your lead gun is the one that like finishes it up. So they jack your hair up. You look like an idiot. Everyone takes photos, and then they shave you clean.
Heck yeah.
So
you're born again, my guy.
But then after that, like your gun deck, your gun crew, they give you like a patch, right? It's a little gunner pin tab, like on your flight suit. They give you that, and they give you your gunner wings because now you're officially a gunner. Because that was the mindset back in the day. Is like, you're not one of us two. You kill somebody. So I got my first kill on my first combat mission. I was, one of the boys. And then it was funny because when my 5th deployment, when I was a lead gun and I had this kid on his first trip, it was like, it was like deja vu. I'm sitting there on the backside of the 105. I start hearing the comms and I'm like, hey, Aguirre, come here. Let's go. And he was like, what? And I was like, get on the gun, get ready. Like, and he was like, what's going on? I'm like, listen to the comms. Like, we're spinning up. Something's about to happen. And he was like, and then I was like watching this kid and he was on the other side of the gun. He was like, you know, getting all excited. And I remember looking at him like, hey dog, you're at like an 8. I need you at like a 4.
How crazy is it? Did you, I mean, that's obviously the most like full circle thing ever. Like, how did you feel in that moment when you were on the other side of the gun and you were the senior guy?
I didn't realize it until, you know, later, because like in the moment, you know, we're all just worried about the mission, right? I'm listening to comms. I'm like watching my dude, like, hey man, I need you here, right? I need you right here, right now, right? It wasn't until later I sat down. I was like, man, like that conversation sounds really familiar. But looking back on it, you know, I still talk to all those dudes from that deployment stuff. I keep up with them and they tell me some stories I forget, but like in that moment, I remember that specifically being like, man, you know, everything that I've gone through up to this point, like it's come full circle. And my favorite part of the Air Force is like being an NCO, being able to lead and guide those cats and, you know, being the dude they feel comfortable coming to. So like in that moment, I really felt like that was, you know, one of those NCO maturation moments where, you know, I got to be the guy that he'll tell that story. You know, I was super nervous and Sergeant Stewart looked at me and said, you know, so it was a super cool moment. One of my favorite moments in the gunship that, you know, obviously I didn't think of at the moment, but now looking back on it, that was awesome.